This one. The Oxford word of the year for 2025. You know what it is? Ragebait. Online content deliberately designed to elicit anger or outrage, and this is the part that kills me, in order to increase traffic or engagement. Man, we're not even hiding it anymore. Why did they pick this word? Use of it tripled this year, and it seems to be a fundamental aspect of dominant culture. Rage bait. I don't know which part of this compound noun bothers me more. That social media algorithms look for and feed to us the worst part of our political diet, or that we so eagerly gobble it up and reward anyone who pitches this poison. People who are developing platforms on social media, if you see them popping up, they are doing exactly this. This is what made the right righteous on social media, okay? They have been dominant there for a while. The left is catching up, and they're doing it the same way. Tell yourselves what you want. Feel any way you want about it. Nobody on the left was raised with more deep roots in the Democratic Party than I was, and I'm telling you, you're doing what you say you oppose. It's rage bait all day, okay? And everyone doing it knows it makes everything worse except one thing: their bank accounts. The irony, one of the main avenues of rage bait is what? Making people hate elites, the privileged, the insiders. What's it all code for? Rich. But at the same time, those people who are trying to make you hate those people are using these tactics to get rich. That's why on the left and the right, you see more and more people trying to cash in on driving the rest of us crazy. Scroll through your feed. Affordability, healthcare ideas, price fixing. Why aren't those things trending? Because what works is not solving. What works is exploiting problems. Look at what's trending. Again, the proof is there for all of us to see. This isn't hidden. The president's MRI results. Why won't he show them? How Hegseth sucks for the boat strikes. Why Stephen Miller is a Nazi, according to some rage bait podcast. Chanting globalize the Intifada at the site of the Boston Marathon bombing. Trump pardoning the latest bad guy, the Honduran drug lord, at the same time we're going to go after Venezuela for drugs. Why? All of these topics are designed to piss you off. They are all heat, no light. And look, I know depending on your side, you're saying, well, hold on, I agree with some of it, but not that. What Trump did is or on the other side, oh, no, wait, hold on a second. But that one is really bad. That's the left. I know, because you have been trained to believe that whatever is good for your side is good, and whatever is good for the other side is bad. So we hop from one provocation to the next and lose sight of what should matter, like making healthcare more affordable. Remember the shutdown? That was trending when it pissed you off, and it was supposed to be about what? Fighting the good fight for ACA subsidies and beyond, because affordability issues with healthcare affect everybody, not just those using the ACA and needing subsidies to do so. But where'd it go? It's gone because it doesn't work as well. For example, the potential terror attack just 5 days ago, okay? Why is this moving on? Well, this isn't important enough. Shoots 2 members of the National Guard, kills a female member. The other one, a male member, is in critical condition. Guys from Afghanistan. So, what happens on this story? For some reason, the left doesn't want to go after this story. I wonder why. I wonder why they see more value in why Hegseth or this Bradley guy or whoever, or Trump, anybody, bombed drug boats. Why do you care about that more than why a guy decided to murder one of us? Maybe it's because you want to defend what this guy is about, because he may have been an extreme Islamist. He may not have been, by the way. But is that why you say that the member of the National Guard who was murdered passed away? Is that why you're silent about who this guy is in a way you never were when it's somebody from the right? But the left wants to talk about, bombing the drug boats. So you'd rather talk about that, even if it means defending the rights of the drug dealers, than discuss this guy and why he murdered one of us. And now, what does the right do? We're going to talk about the policy and why the president hasn't gone to Congress when he's obviously contemplating military action against Venezuela, like the War Powers Act and the Constitution and the use, the AUMF, the authorization for use of military force, like all of those suggest that it should go to Congress. You don't want to talk about that. What do you want to talk about? Oh, well, the Afghan guy who did the shooting, who killed the National Guard member, he's from Afghanistan. So that's bad immigration. These people from there. The answer is to end all immigration from countries like his. It's all rage bait, ignoring the actual facts. What are the facts? Is he from Afghanistan? Yes. Okay. Is that why he did this? We have no idea. Now, what do we know? Well, when he was in Afghanistan, you know what he did, right? He worked with the U.S. military to hunt down Taliban commanders in Afghanistan. That's what he did, okay? Now, the murderer did reportedly shout, Allahu Akbar, whatever, which is what terrorists and extreme Islamists, often the same thing, tend to do. Now, is that why the left isn't talking about why he did this? Because they have decided that part of their populist outrage movement is to embrace those kinds of ideas? I hope not. I don't think so. But here's the part that doesn't make sense, except just you're going for rage. So if you're on the left, you don't want to talk about this because it doesn't outrage your people the way bombing drug dealers does. So you're doing it for the same reason, which is a bad reason, which is to outrage. And that's the same reason the right is focusing on him being from Afghanistan. Because we know another material fact, okay, which is being ignored because they want to enrage you, not engage you, not make you think. We also know that the murderer of the National Guard member was radicalized here in America, not in Afghanistan. So why would you ban immigration from a place where he was not radicalized? How do we know this? The same person who told us she wants to ban immigration from Afghanistan also told us he was radicalized here. Think about that for a second. How does that make sense? How does the same person, Secretary Noem, tell you, oh, this guy from Afghanistan, he was radicalized here. When he was in Afghanistan, he was working with the U.S. military. He was a great guy. That's why we brought him here. That's why the Trump administration authorized his asylum claim. It's because he was one of the good ones. But when he came here, something happened to him, which we're going to discuss tonight. Well, then why do you want to ban the immigration? Because she's trying to play to outrage, xenophobia, otherize, attack. That's all it's about. Enraging and dividing for profit. In her case, political profit. In the case of a lot of these podcasters and people in digital media, actual money. It's the word of the year, and it is the reason society is approaching a nadir, a new low. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.